This most dangerous game, as they referred to it, was a matter of human hunting. And when a mind control slave such as myself was stripped of clothes and turned loose in the woods, I was then hunted by George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Bill Clinton, among others. But they were the main ones.
We're going to stand right next to me, and then we're going to have...
There you go.
Got it? Okay.
And if you want the back, you can spread out a little bit.
Saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
I got some names that I want to call. Alex Spiro, Desiree Perez, and the whole wicked system of Rock Nation, including you, Jay.
Y'all, this story isn't gossip anymore. This is the kind of story that makes your stomach drop. Because what you're about to hear sounds less like Hollywood and more like something straight out of a nightmare. A man claims he wasn't invited to a party. He says he was hunted, stripped, released into the woods, then chased like an animal by some of the most powerful men on earth. Presidents, billionaires, industry giants. And when he finally speaks up, he doesn't whisper names. He points straight at the machine. Rock Nation, power lawyers, gatekeepers, and then Jay-Z. Not as a rapper, not as a mogul, but as someone allegedly tied to a system where young artists are controlled, traded, silenced. And just when you think it can't get darker, the Epstein files drop. 3 million documents, thousands of videos, hundreds of thousands of images. And suddenly, celebrity names start surfacing. Jay-Z, Weinstein, industry insiders. Then 50 Cent jumps in, threatening a documentary, posting receipts, calling it out publicly. And weirdly, major media goes silent. No headlines, no front pages, nothing. Almost like someone doesn't want the story told. Now add the rumors. Late night parties with minors. Former insiders talking rituals. Ex-employees accusing manipulation. Celebrities hinting at blackmail and control. At some point, it stops sounding like coincidence and starts sounding like a pattern. So the real question isn't, is this messy? The real question is, how deep does this actually go, and who's terrified of 50 Cent exposing it? Because tonight, we're opening every door they hoped stayed shut.
And then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about...
After we found out why Beyonce made a lot of the songs that she did and for what reasons, I am not shocked one bit to find out that Jay-Z is allegedly listed in the
strange thing about scandals like this, they don't usually start with police reports. They start with whispers, small details, moments that didn't feel right at the time, but years later, they start looking terrifying. Because before the Epstein files, before the media silence, before 50 Cent threatened documentaries, there were already stories. Stories from rooms most people never get invited into. Private houses, after parties, industry gatherings where the cameras are off, and the rules suddenly change. And according to multiple insiders, one of those nights still doesn't sit right with the people who were there. Colorado, mid-2000s. A luxury house rented out for a rap photo shoot. Big names in attendance. Models, artists, celebrities, Jay-Z, Beyonce, all adults. At least, that's what it was supposed to be. Music playing, liquor flowing, late night energy building. The kind of exclusive industry party where deals get made and secrets get buried. But then something happened that made one attendee pause. Because suddenly, kids started showing up. Not one, not two, several. At a party that had already turned into an adult drinking environment. No explanation, no announcement. Just children, walking around a house full of intoxicated adults. And for the person who witnessed it, that moment never left his mind.
I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the winter time of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there. And he rented this house, and we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there, and I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework, but she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking loud music and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from.
That's when the vibe changed. Because it wasn't just kids in the background. It was kids inside a late night rap party. Around alcohol. Around strangers. Around some of the most powerful celebrities in music. And nobody seemed to question it. Nobody stopped the party. Nobody asked who brought them. Almost like, this wasn't unusual. And that's the part that bothered him the most. Because sometimes what's scarier than chaos is when people act like nothing's wrong.
And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy? Or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already
alarming. That's the word he used. Not illegal, not criminal, just wrong. The kind of wrong your gut feels before your brain understands it. And then came the moment that stuck with him for years. He says he sat down, right next to a child. And that child sat next to Beyonce. He claims he overheard a comment. Something that made him uncomfortable enough that he remembered it long after the liquor wore off. Now to be clear, these are allegations, personal recollections. But when people start connecting dots later, small memories suddenly carry a lot more weight. Especially after what happened next. Because years later, names connected to the Carters start surfacing in completely different conversations. Epstein, elite parties, private gatherings, power circles. And suddenly that weird night doesn't feel random anymore. It feels connected. And this isn't the only voice raising eyebrows. Because once stories start leaking, more people start talking. Some joking, some half serious, some saying things the industry would rather stay buried. And sometimes, truth hides inside jokes.
Y'all talk all that about R. Kelly. Beyonce was on that island where they was.
Damn!
Beyonce was on island. Beyonce and the camel.
Yeah. They said she was in there like, uh-oh.
Right.
I hope I can go see her again.
She was singing and look. If you like it, put your mouth on it.
Now, Corey is a comedian. He jokes. He exaggerates. But here's what makes it interesting. Even in comedy, certain names keep popping up. The same people, the same rumors, the same island references, over and over again. And that's when public perception starts shifting. Because one rumor? Easy to dismiss. Two? Coincidence. But when stories keep coming from completely different directions, different industries, different people who don't even know each other, that's when audiences start asking questions. Not because they want drama, but because patterns are hard to ignore. And suddenly, that Colorado party doesn't feel like just a party. It feels like a preview. A small crack in a much bigger wall. A glimpse into rooms the public never sees. Because here's the uncomfortable reality about celebrity culture. The higher you go, the less oversight there is. More money, more privacy, more protection, fewer witnesses. And if something strange happens, who's really going to speak up? Especially when you're surrounded by billion-dollar brands, lawyers, and people who can make careers disappear overnight. So when 50 Cent later steps in, threatening documentaries, digging up old footage, posting receipts, suddenly these old stories resurface. Clips get replayed, interviews get rewatched, moments people forgot get remembered. And what used to sound like random gossip starts sounding like early warning signs. Because sometimes scandals don't explode overnight. Sometimes they've been quietly building for years. And if those early nights were already this strange, the real question becomes, what else happened behind closed doors that nobody has talked about yet? And if 50 really does start digging, how many more voices are about to come forward? Then what comes next might be a lot darker. There's something strange that happens in Hollywood when too many people start telling the same story. At first, it sounds crazy, paranoid, conspiracy-level nonsense. You laugh it off, scroll past it, call it hate. But then another person says the same thing, and another, and suddenly, it's not one voice anymore. It's a pattern, and patterns are hard to ignore. Because after the party stories, after the Epstein whispers, after 50 Cent started poking the bear, a completely different type of allegation started surfacing. Not about money, Not about business. Not even about crime. Something darker. Something harder to explain. Something people usually don't even want to say out loud. Rituals. Manipulation. Control. The kind of words that make you uncomfortable just hearing them. And what makes it worse? These weren't random internet trolls. These were insiders. People who actually worked inside the machine. Dancers. Musicians. Employees. People who stood feet away from the Carters for years. Because think about it. If you're going to fake a story for clout, you usually want attention. But most of these people, they didn't gain anything. Some of them lost jobs, lost connections, got blacklisted, and still, they talked. One of the loudest voices came from someone who had been around Beyoncé longer than most fans even realize. Not a blogger, not a reactor, an actual former band member, someone who toured with her, worked shows, shared stages, and then one day, she came forward with claims that shocked even people used to Hollywood drama. Not accusations about contracts, not payment disputes, but something far more disturbing. She said what she experienced felt like manipulation, psychological pressure, and what she described as dark spiritual practices happening behind the scenes. Again, these are allegations. But when former employees start using words like that, it makes people pause. Because there's a difference between I didn't get paid and something felt evil. And that's when Tasha K stepped in. Not to joke, not to sugarcoat, but to say something very direct, something blunt, something that made the internet go quiet for a second.
Beyoncé is being accused again of doing black magic. Now here's what I'm gonna say. Everybody ain't lying. I spent probably a week doing research on all the people that they were connected with, and all of them are connected to some sort of black magic, some sort of witchery. Okay? This is an ex-dancer of hers, and now we remember the ex-drummer that came out, and we call her crazy too. We got the interview of the drummer. Y'all remember her? And she was saying that Beyoncé was using witchcraft and all that stuff, and it always comes out around the time when she getting ready to cipher for a new album. I know Beyonce's a witch. I saw the Lemonade visuals. I saw it. I said, this is...
Notice the wording. Everybody ain't lying. That line hit different. Because she wasn't saying it was proven. She wasn't claiming evidence. She was pointing out something simpler. Too many people were saying similar things. Independently. Years apart. With no reason to coordinate. And that's when the internet started connecting dots. Former drummer. Former dancer. Former captain. All hinting at something off. Something dark. Something they couldn't fully explain. Now, let's be clear. Hollywood loves symbolism. Music videos use dramatic imagery all the time. But when insiders start describing real-life behavior that matches those same themes, that's when viewers stop calling it art and start asking questions. Because symbolism is one thing, but real people saying they felt controlled, manipulated, afraid, that's something else. And this is where the story shifts. Because what if Jay-Z and Beyoncé aren't even the top of the pyramid? What if they're not the ones calling the shots? What if they're just faces, front-end figures, protected brands, while someone else pulls the strings behind the curtain? Sounds wild, right? Except, we've heard that before too. From someone nobody can ignore. Someone who's been inside the industry machine for decades. Someone who has nothing left to lose. Kanye West. Love him or hate him. When Kanye talks about the industry, people listen. Because he's seen the contracts, the politics, the backroom deals. And when he spoke about Jay-Z and Beyoncé, he didn't describe them as bosses. He described them as controlled. Like pieces on a chessboard. Like assets, not owners.
And they can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
But not you, man.
But they can't control me. You're out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize.
Monetize and traumatize. That phrase stuck. Because it reframes everything. Suddenly it's not about fame. It's not about power. It's about leverage, control, fear, blackmail. The idea that celebrities aren't untouchable. They're owned. And if that's true, then every weird story, every strange party, every uncomfortable allegation stops looking random and starts looking systemic, like pieces of the same puzzle. Because think about it. If someone controls the media, controls lawyers, controls contracts, controls careers, who's really going to speak up? Who's going to risk everything? That's why when people like 50 Cent start talking, it rattles the system. Because he's one of the few who doesn't seem scared. One of the few who keeps poking, keeps posting, keeps digging. And every time he does, More old stories resurface. More former insiders talk. More clips go viral. And the Carter Empire starts looking less untouchable and more fragile, like something held together by silence. Because here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to admit. Sometimes scandals don't start with crimes. They start with energy, vibes, rooms that feel wrong, people who look scared, and whispers that refuse to die. And right now, there are way too many whispers. And if all of this is just what people are willing to say publicly, then imagine what hasn't come out yet. Because if insiders are already hinting at rituals, control, and manipulation, then what happens when someone finally brings receipts? What happens when the documentary cameras actually roll? That's where things stop being rumors and start turning into real consequences. At some point, every untouchable empire hits the same moment. Not when the first rumor drops, not when people whisper, not even when allegations surface, but when the fear disappears. Because power only works when people are scared to speak. And lately, that fear looks like it's fading. Because now it's not just random bloggers talking. It's not just conspiracy forums. It's not just old party stories. Now, it's industry names, celebrities, former collaborators, people who were actually inside the rooms. And when insiders start talking, that's when real damage begins. Because you can ignore strangers, but you can easily dismiss people who are standing right next to you. And right when the Epstein leaks started shaking things, right when 50 Cent began threatening documentaries, right when old footage started resurfacing, something else happened. The internet got louder, way louder. Clips started spreading like wildfire. Old interviews, forgotten accusations, strange behavior people once brushed off. Suddenly, everything felt connected. Because this wasn't one scandal anymore. It was layers. Epstein, media silence, private parties, former employees, ritual rumors, control allegations. And now, celebrities openly calling it out. And here's the part that really made people uncomfortable. If all of this was fake, why weren't the big outlets rushing to defend them? Where were the headlines? Where were the denials? Where were the lawsuits? Instead, it felt quiet. Too quiet. Almost like certain stories just disappeared. Posts deleted. Articles never written. Topics avoided. And the internet noticed. Because when TMZ stays silent, when People magazine stays silent, when Billboard, Complex, US Weekly all look the other way, people start asking, who told them not to talk? Because silence at that level usually costs money, or influence, or both. And that's when 50 Cent stepped harder on the gas, posting AI images, trolling publicly, hinting at receipts, talking Netflix, talking documentaries, talking exposés. He wasn't whispering. He wasn't being subtle. He was practically daring them to stop him. And the more he talked, the more old stories resurfaced. Old footage of Jay-Z walking out of suspicious rooms. Old friendships with controversial figures. Old clips people ignored at the time, now looking completely different under a new lens. Because context changes everything. And then came something that hit even harder than rumors. Not jokes, not speculation, but someone who actually signed paperwork. Someone who actually worked under the system. Someone who says she experienced pressure directly. MIA. Not a random voice. Not a background dancer. A global artist. Someone who is signed to Roc Nation. Someone who saw the machine from the inside. And what she described didn't sound like normal label politics. It sounded like something darker. Like forced image control. Like manipulation. Like being pushed into things she didn't want to do just to fit the brand. And when she finally spoke publicly, she didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't play nice. She sounded angry, frustrated, done being silent.
I met Jay-Z and I signed to Roc Nation. The first thing he told me to do is get plastic surgery. I'm not insecure because I would have got plastic surgery. If people make it, they all can turn around and thank Beyoncé because that's it. And enough is enough. I'm coming for everyone now. And even Adele, when she gets an award, she thanks Beyonce. Oh, I didn't want to drip myself and cover myself and swim in goop, in black goop, and fucking like wear devil horns to sell a record. Fuck that. All be a witch. All be that. All of that. Call of that.
Listen carefully to what she's really saying. Not just plastic surgery. Not just label pressure. But imagery. Themes. Things that sound less like marketing. And more like performance rituals. Again, allegations. But here's what matters. She walked away. And people who walk away usually have the least reason to lie. Because they gain nothing. They lose connections, opportunities, money, and still, they talk. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If multiple former insiders are hinting at manipulation, pressure, dark symbolism, control. And Kanye is saying celebrities are puppets. And Epstein files are connecting elite circles. And 50 Cent is threatening to expose everything. Then maybe this isn't just celebrity gossip. Maybe this is about something bigger. Because maybe, just maybe, the music industry isn't just about music. Maybe it's about power, protection, and secrets. And once secrets start leaking, even billion-dollar empires shake. Because here's the thing history keeps proving. No one is untouchable forever. Not politicians. Not moguls. Not legends. Eventually, someone talks. Someone leaks. Someone digs too deep. And the truth crawls out whether you like it or not. Right now, it feels like that moment is getting closer. The Carter Empire? Still powerful. Still rich. Still protected. But cracks are showing. Followers dropping. Old clips resurfacing. Insiders speaking. And one very loud rapper promising a documentary. So the question isn't, are there rumors? There always are. The real question is, why are so many different people pointing in the same direction? Why does the same circle of names keep popping up? And why does it feel like certain stories keep getting buried? Because if there's really nothing there, why try so hard to keep it quiet? And if 50 Cent really releases that documentary, if receipts actually drop, if insiders finally stop whispering, then this doesn't stay internet drama. This turns into something much bigger. Something legal. Something public. Something that could permanently change how people see one of music's most powerful couples. So now it's your turn to decide. Coincidences? Or a pattern? Smear campaign? Or smoke hiding fire? Because one thing's for sure. This story isn't over. Not even close. And if what we've seen so far is just the surface, then whatever's underneath might shock everyone. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Because scandals like this don't just damage reputations. They expose betrayals. Real ones. The kind that shake entire empires. For years, Jay-Z and Beyoncé weren't just celebrities, they were untouchable. Billion-dollar brands. Cultural royalty. The power couple nobody questioned. The names the media protected. The faces the industry bowed to. But now, the silence is louder than ever. Former insiders speaking out. Old clips resurfacing. Parties people can't explain. Files nobody expected to see. And a rapper with nothing to lose threatening to blow the whole thing open on camera. That's not random. That's pressure building. And pressure always cracks something. Because when too many stories start lining up, when too many witnesses remember the same uncomfortable details, when too many powerful outlets suddenly miss the same headline, it stops looking like coincidence. It starts looking like protection. And protection usually means there's something worth hiding. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's smoke. Or maybe it's a fire that's been burning for years behind closed doors. The kind of fire money can't always put out. Because history shows one thing over and over again. The higher the empire, the harder the fall. If even half these allegations are true, we're not watching gossip. We're watching the slow collapse of a dynasty. Careers, legacies, trust, all hanging by a thread. So now the question isn't whether 50 Cent will talk. It's what happens if he actually shows proof. Because once receipts hit the screen, there's no deleting that. No payoffs. No rewrites. No saving face. Only consequences. And if this story keeps unfolding the way it is, the world might be witnessing the beginning of the end. Choose your side carefully. Because this time, the silence might be louder than the truth.